So Len is one of the many patients that we've heard from since we've been approved by the Secretary of State and the Ohio Attorney General. There's many, many, many more like him out there. One of the questions that we have is, what about the cannabinoid sciences? Why is this affecting Len's body the way that it is? That is something that we're all very intrigued with and very interested in. But another aspect of medical marijuana is also law enforcement. And with us, we also have Steve Downing. Steve is with Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, and he's one of the board members. Steve?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm a member of the board, and I've been a speaker for a number of years with the organization Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. Listening to the story that you just heard, for the past 5 years, I've been working with the board. Our interest is to eliminate prohibition as we know it entirely, to take the criminal justice system out of the war on drugs. And if we need regulation and control for some of these drugs, it should be within the health industry and not the criminal justice system. In my rounds as a speaker for LEAP, I have had a lot to do with the medical marijuana groups, especially in California. As you may know, California passed a medical marijuana initiative of the voters by 55% 15 years ago. And because of holes in the legislation, California has had a lot of problem implementing it in a smooth way. One of the biggest problems was the hardcore prohibitionists within our own system. After 55% of the voters passed our medical marijuana initiative, the Attorney General of the state, Dan Lundgren at the time, called a meeting of all the chiefs of police. Now, you would have thought that Mr. Lundgren would have said, okay, the people have voted by 55%, how can we best implement this? But he didn't do that. He undertook to undermine the initiative and strategize with the chiefs of police, how can we best undermine this legislation? And then he undertook to do it. The Chiefs of Police Association in our state wrote a white paper, and unfortunately our legislation, our initiative gave control of medical marijuana to the local townships and local counties, rather than keeping it at the state level. So with that white paper and with the activities of the Attorney General, it has continued to be undermined, and that's really why there's so much litigation going on in California at this time. But in my rounds, I learned a lot about medical marijuana, speaking to patients, speaking to people who are really, really helped by it. 2 weeks ago, I'm going off the gentleman that just preceded me here, hearing his story. 2 weeks ago, it became very personal for me. I have never used marijuana in my life, nor has my wife. But hearing all these stories, and my wife has very severe arthritis and lupus, and she's been going to probably the most renowned rheumatologist in Los Angeles for the past 6 years, and he has not been able to help her with her pain. So I convinced her, just ask him, and she was embarrassed to ask him because she has been exposed to all of the bugaboos about marijuana and the devil weed and all that all her life. But she did. She asked him, and his response was, I have many patients who benefit by the use of medical marijuana. And due to your treatment regimen that we have been through, I believe that you would be helped. And then he said the killer thing that got me right in the heart. He said, but I won't prescribe it for you. because I don't want the DEA down my back. And I said, that is tyranny. When in the United States of America, a woman who has any person who has a serious medical problem and cannot deal with their own physician to resolve that problem because of the government, that is tyranny. So with all that said, and all of our experience in California, we have looked at the Ohio Medical Cannabis Amendment, and I think you have a beautifully, effectively balanced, and very reasonable amendment for medical cannabis. It deals with the major issues in a bulletproof way that is going to save your state from a lot of litigation. First of all, it deals very reasonably with patient rights. It has a non-discrimination clause. It has privacy clause for your medical records. It provides for those patients who want to grow their own, that they can grow their own. And it doesn't get into to limits that are oppressive. And most importantly, it provides for the commercial production of medical marijuana that is regulated, controlled, and taxed. That is going to mean a great deal in many ways to Ohio. First of all, the black market owns all marijuana sales today, and the black market pays no taxes. The black market is where your children get marijuana. You never hear of Jim Beam being pushed on the school grounds, but you always hear of marijuana being pushed on the school grounds. You never hear of a Coors and Bush distributor shooting it out on the street. That's because alcohol is regulated and controlled. As dangerous as alcohol is, we learned our lesson in the 30s what prohibition means. So this commercial regulation, controlling, and taxing is going to take a big chunk of the black market away from the cartels and the street gangs. It's going to better protect the children of Ohio by reducing black market violence and cutting into the profits of the streets and gangs and cartels. And it's going to better protect your children, and those medical marijuana patients who do not have to go to the black market anymore are going to be assured of a quality and a labeling of their medicine that ensures them that they're not getting marijuana that's full of pesticides, like is dealt on our school grounds these days. They will know that it's not laced with heroin or methamphetamines, which is a technique used by the cartels to hook people. And they will know basically what they're getting, and they can rely on a outlet that allows them to control their dosage for their particular ailment.